Do you believe AI could actually widen the gap if women don't upskill quickly enough?
Absolutely. AI has the potential, the dangerous potential, to leave women behind economically. And we need more awareness. It starts with awareness, right? And advocacy to ensure that that doesn't happen. And you've been advocating, like many women in their communities, for 20, 30 years. Then you are the exact voice. You know how to fight. You know the people. You know the techniques. You know the strategies. You know how to win. I said, what will history say about you during this time?
You just gave me goosebumps. You just gave me goosebumps.
Living in the moment, let's have some fun.
Women have spent generations fighting to close the wage gap. And now, just as we've made progress, we're standing at the beginning of one of the largest transformations of work in modern history: artificial intelligence. AI is changing how we work, how quickly we work, what skills employers value, what businesses scale, who gets hired, and ultimately, who creates wealth. So here's the question I think women need to be asking: could AI finally help us close the wage gap, or could it make it dramatically worse? Because if men embrace these tools faster than women do, we aren't simply talking about a technology gap. We're talking about a new economic divide. So the question we're managing today is: how do we make sure women aren't left behind in the AI economy? Hi, I'm Aimee Rickabus, entrepreneur, author, mother of six, and host of The Manage Her. This is the show where we talk about what women are really managing: the businesses, the families, the relationships, the invisible labor, our own evolution, and the rapidly changing world we're leading through, because women have been leading all along. Welcome to The Manage Her. My guest today isn't simply talking about women and artificial intelligence. She's building an organization around making sure women have a place in its future. LaVada English is an award-winning educator, author, and leadership strategist with more than 25 years of experience helping leaders and organizations navigate change. She is the founder and CEO of Bright Places and previously served as president of NAWAI, California. Today, she is the co-founder and co-CEO of the National Association of Women in AI, NAWAIQ, an organization created to help women learn, lead, and win in an AI-driven economy. And I love the audacity of their vision. They want to help create more women millionaires than any organization that has ever existed. LaVada, welcome to The Manager.
I am so excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Amy.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be fun. Here we
Yes.
go. I can't wait to share with the ladies. I feel like I talk about what you guys do on other people's podcasts all the time, and it's so nice to actually have you here so that we can really talk about what's happening over here. So, before we talk about AI, I want to talk about you.
Okay.
Because people see an organization or a movement after it's been created, but they don't always see the woman who decided it needed to exist. So, who were you before AI became a part of your life's work?
Wow. Okay. So, of course, I'm going to say I'm a mom first, right? Because I have three beautiful daughters, Lauren, Leah, and Layla. They're all grown now. So when people ask me their age, I'm like, don't you worry about it. They're all grown because then you can't age me. I have always been in the learning and development and talent acquisition space. And what I mean by that is since undergrad, graduate, I started out at companies like Johnson and Johnson, helping people get into careers, start careers, and then helping to shape their careers once they're inside the organization. And that means managing the relationships between managers and directors and promoting people. So I've always been in this space where I'm helping people to be okay in their careers. And I came into AI because, well, it's in alignment with where we're going with all of our careers now. So it's sort of this natural progression from helping people to be okay and develop in their careers to adding these tools because this is what we're going to need, as we progress. Mhm.
Totally. That makes sense. So, you've spent decades in education and leadership development and organizational change. What were you seeing in women throughout those years?
Yeah, inequity, of course. Sometimes feeling unseen, feeling like they have, imposter syndrome. which I always challenge because sometimes it's not imposter syndrome. Sometimes you are really experiencing that people don't want you in places and spaces. So a lot of, Aimee, to give you a specific example, back in, again, I won't date myself, but we'll say in the 2000s, when large corporations really focused on leadership development programs, they were the big thing, right? You would go through these rotational programs. We would fly you out. We would give you a relocate you, sometimes even help you relocate your home and your family. And then we would place you in these rotations, meaning you might do 8 months in one region at a company, 8 months in another, and 8 months in another region. But what was happening was we were all excited about these programs, but we didn't consider culture. We didn't consider rather people would feel welcomed. And people were coming back to me and they were saying, well, the staff here is asking why should they coach me into management when they haven't been promoted to management, or they haven't been trained to onboard me properly, right? So there's a lot of disconnect, right? And women in particular would feel that, they don't want to elevate me past themselves in essence. So there's a lot of assumptions that were being made that sort of brought me into this space. Like, wait a minute, we need to make sure people are psychologically safe. Yeah, it was tough back in the day. And to be honest, a lot of times it would be me coaching them into staying, to like just stay the course. It'll be okay, and we'll help you.
Oh, yeah. Were you noticing any patterns that were recurring around confidence, opportunity, leadership, or access at that time?
Oh yeah, lots of patterns of resistance. But the good thing that came out of it, and let me just go back and say resistance coming from people who were working with women in the organizations. This sort of notion that we don't belong at the table, right? And us having to push through it. But the good thing that came out of that era, I think, are the employee resource groups and women creating these ecosystems or these cocoons around each other, so that they know that they weren't alone, and being able to come together and sort of push through some of that and fight in some cases for spaces and places where they belonged.
I love that. Yeah, we saw the rise of the women's organizations like NAWAI that you were a part of, and I'm a part of WeBank. And having my fellow sisters that fight the fight with me, it's so nice to know we've got a group of women out there. And if you're having a problem, you can call one of your sisters and be like, "Hey, I need some help. I need some support." And they're like, "Let's go get some coffee."
Yeah, organizations like the National Association for Women's Business Owners, for which
Yes,
I'm the president of Los Angeles now, believe it or not. I used to be state, but
unbelievable.
now in Los Angeles. We have a conference coming in September we're excited about.
Good for
But
you.
sometimes I think women forget that they have those resources. Even when you're a part of it, you have to show up, you have to connect. Even when you don't feel like it, ladies, and you feel exhausted and you just feel like I just have to work, work, work all day. Remember, 70% of what you should be doing as a business owner is showing up, or an executive, or someone who cares about their being promoted in your career. That's the real work. I know it seems like the other stuff is the real work, but the real work is staying connected, because one connection could get you to the next opportunity. But you have to show up. You have to be in the room.
Absolutely. And I feel like we're coming into the time of relationships because AI is doing so much, right? I mean, AI is writing the resumes, it's reading the resumes, but AI is not going to go to a networking meeting or go show up at that
Right.
corporate event that you're going to bump into the person who can
Mhm.
give you that elevated position in the company. The human things are what we have to focus on, right?
Mhm.
Right
Mhm.
now.
I think we're going back. We're going back to relationships, right?
I think so.
That's what our grandparents did. That's what our great grandparents did. They were all entrepreneurs.
Yeah, they were.
You go back to our family history. I think this one thing I mention all the time that kind of comes up without ill intention. I think a lot of our parents and grandparents taught us to go to university, right? Get an education, work your way up in a corporate environment, and it sort of took away some of their entrepreneurialism that they had embedded in them. And I think we're relearning it in a lot of ways. And they didn't know you wouldn't be psychologically safe in corporate America. They thought get a degree, go to a good school, and they didn't actually know how to tell us to navigate corporate America either, because it's not where they earn their income. So I think it's just going back to our roots. Isn't it weird how the technology is pushing us back together in a lot of ways?
I love that, and I love that you're bringing that back. You're right, our grandparents owned the dry cleaner. My grandfather owns a body shop in downtown LA, and that was what he did for 50 years of his life, and he was a small business owner. So it's neat to see that you're right. We shouldn't be afraid. We're just going back to a different time of entrepreneurship and being small business owners versus all working for large corporations.
Yeah, and do you know that 99.1% of businesses, you probably know this, Amy, are small businesses in the US? That's a LinkedIn statistic.
I actually
And
didn't know that.
and so that means there's only a small percentage of businesses that are large corporations, but 78% of our population works for those large corporations. I just had to sit with that a while. I'm like, boy, how does that make sense? Right? But it does. It does also mean that we are facing a time where if your job could be automated, those large corporations are probably going to be the ones to do it. So we're facing a time where people are going back to entrepreneurialism at higher rates. I don't know all those stats. I won't nerd out on this, but that stuff fascinates me.
I see that too. I homeschool, so I'm always thinking about curriculum. What do the kids need to be learning right now? Because the world is changing so quickly. And the thing that I always keep coming back to is entrepreneurship. I have
Yep.
to teach my kids how to create jobs for themselves because I don't know what jobs are going to be available if they're waiting for someone else to give them a job.
Right. Right.
You
And
know?
I also like to stress that I think that if there's value in going to university, going in a corporation if you can, because there's learning value there. And you need to add entrepreneurialism to it because the world is changing so much that nothing wrong with going into a corporate position, getting the skill set, but be prepared that that might not be the same trajectory, that your mom was able to take, maybe that she was able to have a 20-year career in corporation. You probably won't have that trajectory. So adding entrepreneurship to your tool belt is only going to help you to sustain your economic standing. Mhm.
Absolutely. And then also like realizing that you're not the company that you work for, that you are your own brand. You
Mhm.
might be working for a large company, but you kind of need to establish yourself as a
Yeah,
voice that stands alone, and use the corporations that you work for to help elevate your voice, to help, give you some emphasis on that your importance, as a person, but don't put it all into that one basket. Also, always remember that in this world that we're in, you better be your own brand because you're going to float around a bit.
absolutely.
So, what happened that made you realize women need an organization around AI?
Well, women, the National Association of Women Business Owners is part of my DNA now, if you will. And so I have a heart for women business owners, and I know that we need spaces that feel safe and connected to advance. And the AI industry is 78% dominated by men. Now, we need men at the table, but we also need women at the table. And we see that there's some areas where we need to advocate. I really do strongly feel like a lot of those areas where we're concerned in AI, environment, ethics, children, and so forth, that haven't been addressed is because women are not at the table. And I don't believe ignorance is a strategy. Rather, we like AI or not, because we like to say at the National Association of Women in AI that we're AI neutral, meaning that we are not pushing for it or against it. We just know it's here. That's sort of our fight. Like, since it's here, what are we going to do to make sure that we're okay in the AI future? And we need to create a space where I love the bros, but there's no bro talk, no talk that's making you feel like we can't slow down and help you understand that we're bringing in people who do understand technologies to help us, that have the patience to help us understand, yes, but we're not leaving folks behind. And I think you should join several AI groups, but this one is the one that for me is we're creating this safe space. And we also have a group of really, we're attracting really professional women, meaning they have careers already and they're looking to add AI to their tool belt. And then younger women that want to be mentored by women like us who have, inroads to opportunities.
That's so cool. I just love what you guys are doing as far as giving us a place where we can learn and feel safe to learn and ask questions. Because if you don't feel safe, you don't ask questions and then you have a hard time learning things. But
Exactly.
it's statistically proven that if a woman is in a room and she feels safe, she's going to ask the questions that she needs answered and she'll be
Yes.
able to learn faster. So I think that what you're doing is very important for women of all ages. I feel like the women over the age of 45 really are intimidated fascinated by this stuff. And I know I would have been had I not been at Tomahawk sitting at the
Yeah,
table here watching, AI transform the Fortune 500. If I hadn't been sitting right here, I would have no way in the world I would have been like, so
right,
scared of it. Yeah. But
right. And we have some men too. We have a couple of smart guys that come with us every week and learn with us. They're like, "You're not gonna have these opportunities without me," and so we love it. So we don't exclude anyone. We're just using a lens through women because we acknowledge that women need that space.
yeah, I love that. So when did this become inevitable for you? Starting now why?
So we started, believe it or not, just about a year ago, and is this funny, Amy? I woke up with a hot flash at 4 a.m. and I said, "Oh, I have an idea. I need to text Melissa." Melissa Northway is my business partner, and I said, "Well, I'm not going to text her at 4 a.m. I'll put it on schedule so that the text will go to her as soon as she wakes up at 8 o'clock." And it was just like, "Oh, we need to create a space for women, the National Association of Women AI, so they know that they can come and be heard and it be okay." And she's like, "I'm in," and so we just went for it. And so we launched the for-profit entity and the nonprofit entity, and we're growing together. Our founding members, you can become a founding member during the first year, and we're shaping this together. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I know. I'm a proud founding member, board member of of
Yes,
NAWAI. You guys, I
yes.
remember you guys kind of came. I forget we were at some event. We're always at an event, I feel like. It was like, do you want to be on the board? And I was like, yeah, definitely. This is
Thank you so much. Yeah.
100% because you're right. I mean, I already feel like everybody feels, especially women, feel like that they're left behind on this thing, that they're too far behind. And the truth is that this technology is so new that everyone's learning the technology and it's changing all the time. So there's always something new to learn also. So even the most hardcore tech bros are still having to overcome the obstacle of learning something new all the time with AI.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have a couple of engineers, male engineers that come in and help teach. I'm teaching for a program called Ascend LA with business owners as well, partnering with them. And then we have our engineers coming in to teach. So everybody's at different levels. And you're right. Anybody that's teaching you or that tells you they know it all, just run out the room because they don't. And we're all learning and we're all growing together. And if you are even having these conversations, you're way ahead of a large amount of the population or most of the population. If you understand what grafting is or even have a concept of the word Azure, if you understand plugins or Claude or Perplexity, what an artifact is, right? Or a folder, you're way ahead of people. And these are terms that are easy to grasp. And we are teaching at NAWAI.
I love it. So is this for women working in technology?
No, this is for non-tech women. This is if I can learn this, you can learn it. One of the things that really pulled me was that I've been teaching leadership and coaching and team training for many years, and so I'm helping to translate the information into adult learning theory so that you can apply it to your real life, right? And looking at, helping with workforce development projects. We have so many initiatives. We have three pillars I didn't mention, Amy, is educate, support, and advocate. So education, making sure we're all in the same have the same opportunities, advocating, looking at different areas, ethics, education, safety, child safety, and then support. So we don't know who's in this space, which women are in this space if they're not seen. So we want to edify them, support them, and we meet every Tuesday from 3 to 4:30. Everyone is welcome. It's free from 3 to 4:30, and that's where we have experts come in. And I mean, we had a guest, Lisa Thee, love her, that taught us about the work she's been doing for years around the eradication of sex trafficking with children and how they've been using AI technology to eradicate that awful, awful, thing in this world. So you won't know Lisa, right? Unless we get in the room and we have a conversation with her. So there you can do good with these tools and you can do bad. but we certainly need to be at the table so we can fight for good.
Yeah. Are you guys able to or wanting to get into policy making around AI? Is that something we're working on?
Yes,
Yay.
absolutely. We're going to be starting our advocacy efforts in the fall. We've already signed off on a bill with a Pan Asian organization in Sacramento for the right to education through the community college school system, rather. And so we'll be looking for folks to support that are fighting, different AI groups that are already fighting. And then we'll be looking at forming our own proposals for assembly bills and initiatives.
Good. I love that. Yeah, policy is so important. And policy, it's one of the conversations that I keep having over and over again is that AI is moving so fast and policy is moving so slowly.
Yeah, policy is not. And even when I'm working with the business owners one on one, they don't have the policies in their own company. They don't know the policies of their clients. What I've noticed, Amy, which, I'm not blaming anyone, right? Being an HR person with my background, I'm like, oh, I gotta have policies, practices, and I'm doing risk assessments all the time. But I do know that people are facing, in some instances, economic downturns. And so they're trying to do more with less. So they're less concerned with the foundational policies and creating the structures than they are with getting the work done that needs to get the next contract. They're making AI their CEO without even putting it through the intern process first. It needs to be your intern first. Right?
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
It's 100%. Yeah, there's a lot of things that can go right with AI and there's a lot of things that can go wrong. There's things it does really, really well, and then there's things that it does meh, and then there's
Mhm.
things that it does really poorly.
Mhm.
So, I feel like we've come to a time where people think, "Oh, cool, I can just offload everything to AI," and maybe that's not the best idea, and especially when it comes to security issues. I
Mhm.
know, like, cybersecurity, AI is becoming a bigger deal even at the corporate level right now. They're realizing that, having this information in the cloud is probably not the best idea for these big companies, and so they're changing policies around that right now.
We can look at that as a time for us to be scared, or we could say, "Oh, it's an opportunity for us to get in the ground floor and make sure that we create the right laws and the right policies and practices. Look at this opportunity for us." That's the way we are looking at it. We do push women to get certifications. Right now, we're working on focus on Microsoft. So we provide support for you to be able to qualify to pass those tests, which doesn't cost a lot to get certifications. We also have been talking to Google about coming in and telling the women about certifications you can get through Google, because we want you to focus on the tools and the certifications that your clients are using first, right?
Yes.
If your client is using Microsoft and Copilot, you probably putting that, adding that cert to your tool belt would be great, because maybe you could help them, I don't know, develop some agents inside their department, inside their ecosystem that are like specialized in your field, like maybe marketing or something. That feels good to us right now. And then, of course, eventually we'll create our own specialized certifications. But what feels good to us right now, because I'll go back to my background, right? Talent acquisition, training, placing people in jobs. I'm always like, what's going to make your resume look better, right? What's going to help your pitch to your client? Get the proven certifications with the, sort of like the big dogs behind them first.
I love that, and I love this for young women that are coming out of college too. Yeah, I'm always thinking about this stuff for the kids. I'm like, should they be getting certified in different kinds of AI? Is that like
Mhm.
is that the new world that we need to be implementing into education?
Yeah, I totally think so. I think there's confusion. I will say confusion, confusion, confusion. So if you can help, and this is one of the things we're doing at NAWAI, if you can help people gain clarity and focus at the things that really matter, right? Go back to your business 101 SWOT analysis, right? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. And then point your college students at the certifications that would align well with maybe their major and the market. And they could add that certification. They could add on LinkedIn right now that they're pursuing that certification. And how good does that look, right? So, yeah, I think what I try to teach people is do a little analysis first, and then point your learning, your tool usage, and your certifications at the strategies that are going to help you to be valuable in the market.
Nice. So the people that need to be looking to you guys for education would be like the accountants, the attorneys, the entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
the executives,
Mhm.
teachers, even stay-at-home moms who want to go back to work. So
Yes.
like
Yeah.
Everyday
There's
women.
yeah, everyday women who are serious about, making money and being a value to the market, right? You could be a restaurant owner and you can get a certification that helps you to, I don't know, you can get a certification in automation, right? That helps you to reach out to your students. But get the ones that, Microsoft or Google or another reputable organization creates for you.
I love that. I didn't even know that was out there, and here I am, but I'm on the more on the corporate side of things. So I'm not seeing what's happening at this consumer level. So it's neat. I need to come in, and I know Wendy Close, our mutual friend, is doing a
Yeah.
training with you right now, and she's already quite good with AI. So I know I need to.
Wendy's in a couple of them. She's in my group and she's in my classes for another organization. So she's ahead of the game. I'm like, Wendy, you have a lot more because we have a learning platform that we give our students for the program she's in. And I had to tell her, you have a lot more on your platform because you're with NAWAI. So you're seeing more. She's like, oh, okay.
That is awesome. I know. I was like, "Oh," she told me she was doing the course, and I went, "Oh, is this something I should be doing?" Yes. Yes, it's something I should be doing. Yes. I'll have to sign up too. So I
No.
have to ask you about this incredible vision. You want to help create more women millionaires than any organization that's ever existed. Why make
Yes.
wealth creation such an explicit part of this mission?
Well, the simplest answer is, when women learn, they feed the village. I mean, it's just the truth. Oh, I don't the conversations we have on Tuesdays are around how are we going to help everyone in the society. I don't hear those conversations happening around a lot of AI tables. We are on a mission to create wealth and to continue to build out strategies around wealth. That's the bottom line. When we get certifications, right? It's about us being able to get the credible credentials so that we can build wealth. And that's the thing that I love that Melissa Northway, my business partner, brings to the table because we do have sessions that are just strategizing around wealth and why not use the AI tools to help you with wealth strategies? Why not use the AI tool? She did a Tuesday talk a couple weeks ago about your side hustle. Why not use the AI tools to help analyze all of your skill sets so that you can identify where you can create other businesses with the tools? We help each other when we are strong.
I love it. I love it. I know. I think I was talking to Dr. Mara Mitrani. I think she'll air right before you. We were talking about AI in healthcare and medicine. She's a doctor. And we were
Mhm.
talking about AI has the potential to create more equity in healthcare as well. So there is, when it comes to women and AI, I think what women are looking to do is to create equity. We don't want to be more wealthy than men, but we like to even the playing field so we don't have this massive wage gap that you've mentioned before to me that we
Yeah.
already have, right? So
Mhm. Yeah.
this is
And
an
that wage gap is at risk now. With the jobs that can be augmented by AI, there's about 60 to 70% lean towards women in those positions. The danger of the wage gap increasing is there, but we're proactive. We're women. We want to figure out how to cut that off and get the skill set we need.
Yes, so this is really the heart of the conversation I want to have today. We fought for decades to close the wage gap, and now AI comes along. So, do you believe AI could actually widen the gap if women don't upskill quickly enough?
Absolutely. AI has the potential, the dangerous potential to leave women behind economically. And we need more awareness. It starts with awareness, right? And advocacy to ensure that that doesn't happen. What is it? Something like, what do women make? 70, 60 cents on the dollar to
I think
men?
it's 78 cents on the
Yeah.
dollar right now currently.
And for women of color, that's even less, right? And so we want to make sure that we are moving in the right direction. And again, I mean, I'm going to say this again. Ignorance is not a strategy, ladies. Like burying your head. You could resist AI. You could be totally against AI, but you still need to learn it. You need to learn the dangers. Just learn the dangers then if you're against it. Because we have to fight for the right, for example, for people to be trained. You can't just fire people. We have to fight for the right for mass workforce development to address the inequities. We have to continue to fight for the right for equal pay and make sure that we consider that when it comes to the tech industry. So we have to fight for the right to be included, because what's happening, some of the patterns we see, one of the things that happens when we ask you to get the certifications is you're getting information. So don't get scared, because you're going to learn a lot of information that you might not have known before. But we have companies that are bringing in folks that don't have the skills that Americans have to train agents to do the jobs that Americans have. We have industries and states that are trying to stop the further development of large data centers, and you need to learn about that so that you can help advocate. There are people that are trying to stop the dangers that would cause us to have greater wage gaps.
Interesting. Yeah. See, I don't know much about this, and it's really is important that we as women become informed. Don't
Mhm.
just be scared and run away from it. We can't hide it's here. It's the us hiding from it isn't going to make it go away. We're going to have to face this and step up to it and see it for what it is. And it's a tool, and some people are going to use it for good things and some people are going to use it for bad things. And we
Yeah.
need to be there to help advocate for the policies that will help shape this future for our children and our grandchildren, because women, we care about those things.
Yeah. And one of the dangers is in us not getting education. And I was doing a presentation at a board for Los Angeles a while ago, and a couple of the seasoned, we should say, board members didn't want to learn. I don't want to hear anything about AI. And I thought, but if you've been fighting the good fight for all these years, then you're exactly the person who needs to know about AI, because you know how to fight. If you've
Yes.
been fighting and you've been advocating like many women in their communities for 20, 30 years, then you are the exact voice. You know how to fight, you know the people, you know the techniques, you know the strategies, you know how to win. And she said, they all of them said, "Okay, you're right, LaVada. Like, we'll learn, because you're right." Like, and I did, you know what I did, Amy, to make them feel really bad. I said, what will history say about you during this time?
You just gave me goosebumps. You just gave me goosebumps. And I really feel like this is such a pivotal moment in human
Well,
history where women can have such a profound impact on the future
mhm.
of humanity. And we have such an opportunity right now. It just, yeah, 100%. What will history say about us?
Yeah. What will your grandchildren say? What did Grandma Amy do? What did Grandma LaVada do? Did they just let this happen? Or am I reading that they fought? And so this is a time where we have to stand up. 'Cause history has, to quote Hamilton, history has its eyes on us.
It sure does. I feel it every day. I really do. Just being God put me in a very uniquely important position with technology where I kind of got to see digital transformation happening before we even had the word digital transformation. That's what we were doing. And so to be able to see how it's rolled out, its impact on the world, and to be able to see that at a corporate level, and now as this technology is becoming available at the consumer level, how the impact on women and humanity, but especially this profound impact, that the positive impact that it could have on women if
Uh-huh.
women are at the table, if women are shaping the technology, if we're using it to help automate mundane tasks for ourselves, if we're using it to make us dramatically more productive in the workplace,
Mhm.
if we can show up like rock stars with this tool in our back pocket, the world is our oyster, I think.
Yes, absolutely. And this is the time. This is the time.
Yeah, exactly. So
Mhm.
I think, with the people who are going to be trained in the AI, they're going to be more valuable at work. You think they'll be getting paid more? You think
At
they're going
work.
to, yeah, at work.
Yeah, I think there'll be less of the traditional kind of employee that we see now. There'll be more specialized roles. I do think there's an opportunity for them to make greater income. For example, if you pursue cybersecurity now, right? That's so needed, right? A cybersecurity certification, get more and more specialized. Those will be opportunities for you to be at the top of the market, I believe. And then there'll be, workforce development will include a lot of entrepreneurialism now. It'll sort of be a staple in workforce development. So I think the way we look at work is shifting and changing, and I
Mhm.
think it's going to be okay. I think it's going to be okay. I think it's one of the things that concerns me is just the fast pace at which AI is developing and the rhetoric around like multi-million and billion and trillion-dollar companies, and also concerned that the United States seems to be only developing the AI industry in terms of new industries. So with that said, I think you should have a global mindset when you're opening your business and when you're thinking about your career. I think women have to be more open to, exploring the world. And many cultures and countries already have more of that mindset than most Americans.
Interesting. So, can women afford to wait to learn AI?
No, I don't think so. I think you need to jump on it now. There's a very small bubble that's learning. And I think the women who have professional inroads and relationships and corporate experiences stand at a cusp of great opportunity if they jump on it now. But you're not too late. You're not too late because we're still at the early stages. Even though when you watch YouTube videos, you'll think it's, the end of the world. Just turn off the videos. Just come to NAWAI. Turn off the videos because you'll start panicking. It's not too late to learn.
I love
Mhm.
it. So, I want to explore something a little uncomfortable. Women are already managing so much caregiving, children, households, careers, businesses, their aging parents, and the invisible labor we talk about so much on my show. And then somebody comes along and says, oh, by the way, you also need to learn artificial intelligence. For a lot of women, that feels like one more thing to manage. Could the very responsibilities women are already carrying making it harder for us to participate in the technological transition?
I think it can. I think it can feel like, going back to school. Here's the thing about women, Amy. If you give them the what's in it for them, then they'll figure out how to make it work. Meaning, all of those dynamics you mentioned are things that they want to protect. And if you help women see that in order to continue to protect your home and your family and the loved ones you're caring for, that this is something you have to prioritize, then they'll make room for it. And also getting connected with groups like the National Association of Women in AI so we can help you to make room for it. Because without the support, you don't know where to point your educational efforts, if you will. Keep going back to clarity, right? People need clarity. So yeah, I think they'll make room for it, but it's not going to be easy. This is a shift. Every shift, the Industrial Revolution wasn't easy, right? Here's the thing that we know that I think makes us a little different than the Industrial Revolution times. We know that was a period where women organizations were being born. Like they had to create these organizations, right? These coalitions were born out of the right to vote and things of that matter. We already have all these women organization support systems right now, right? So just tap in,
Yeah.
tap in.
Yeah, totally. So what I'm saying, if women have less discretionary time because they're so busy managing all this other stuff, if we have less time than men do to experiment with AI, what happens? Could we accidentally create an AI proficiency gap between men and women if women don't make the time to learn?
Absolutely. It's 100%, 100%. You know what, Amy, as you're saying that, it's interesting because we have no less than 30 to 40 women show up every Tuesday, which, of course I want, 500, but people are like, well, wait, if you get 40 women to show up every Tuesday to learn, and then there are different women in and out of, it's not the same 40 all the time. We have our, maybe half is the same. And then they're like, that's great. So these are busy women with all those responsibilities, and they're making the time to learn. So we just have to make it time, yeah.
So it's like
Mhm.
an hour and a half a week.
An hour and a half a week. Uh-huh.
Yeah, we can do this, right? An hour and a half a week makes it manageable for women.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yesterday we learned about connectors and API connectors and so forth and how to make our lives easier using the tools inside of one ecosystem. And it was like, you know, just like that. It's like, wow, that's amazing. That's much more efficient, LaVada. I'm like, okay, let's go for it. Let's do it. So just that little bit of time, you already have learning capacity. You're already a genius. It's not going to take you long to pick up on using some of these tools. But here's what happens in our meetings, Amy. Women ask questions that maybe they feel uncomfortable asking in other, groups. They'll say, "Okay, well, I'm a little scared to use this because what if?" Right? And they're not afraid to ask those questions, and then we answer them and we come up with our strategies together. I think that's really valuable.
I love that. I love that. It is so important that women have a place to ask the questions because there are sometimes if you are scared to use something, then you're not going to use it, right? we have to feel comfortable with it.
Yeah. Nobody's gonna just sort of like dismiss you. Like, oh, just use it. No, okay, well, let's talk about it. Yeah.
I love that. That's so it holds such a nice space for women, to be supportive with one another.
Yes.
It's, you know,
Yes.
especially because I think as you're talking about educating these older women, these activists, these
Uh-huh.
fighters who are gonna be so beneficial for this what needs to happen next. The women who've already done it, they need to feel comfortable asking all the questions so that we can get them up to speed on this thing. It makes me excited.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We need them at the table. We need you at the table, ladies.
Yes. And I hear this from women all the time. I'm just not technical. And I want to challenge that. Does a woman need to be technical to become proficient with AI?
No, this is about end user use. So, how do we use the tools that are in front of us strategically to add to what we already know? Now, you can get as technical as you want. You may find yourself fascinated with some more of the technology, but start with creating frameworks, for example, creating standards, right? Creating guardrails and understanding how to prompt using what we call the STAR technique. I use a lot of techniques that I've been using throughout my career in my teaching, situation, task, action, result. Prompt that way so that you're using a full star, for example, and it gets you the outcomes you need. How do you make it your ghostwriter? How do you create toolkits so that you know that the AI is following your standards? Business principles, these are all back to the basics, right? So it doesn't have to feel intimidating at all. And then you can progress to learning a little more about, some of the inner workings of the tools.
Nice. What does AI literacy actually mean?
Yeah, I think it means, well, it depends. It's so many different areas, right? So AI literacy could be technical, right? It could be AI technical use, and it could be about security, for example. It could be about building agents that gets more technical. AI literacy could be about effective end user techniques. And that goes back to some of the frameworks and policies and practices I just mentioned. AI proficiency could be about policies and practices, right? And that's where I think the excitement around opportunity comes in because you could specialize in one of those areas. You don't have to specialize in everything. You're not going to be able to specialize in everything. Even engineers don't specialize in everything. They specialize in their particular fields of development. So I think you getting a broad picture and then narrowing it down, again, will make you more valuable in the marketplace.
I love that. So, do I need to know how a large language model works?
I think it's helpful to know the foundation that it's machine learning. And that means that it learns from being programmed. And we could get into some ethics and human rights stuff around that. That is a little disturbing. But it's machine learning and learns from being programmed. You need to know that it's not a human. Okay. And that gets into education around bias and ethics because it only
Oh.
puts out what's put into it. If ladies aren't at the table, if women aren't at the table, we're not inputting. So I think you should know at least that, Aimee, that the large language model is a machine. So you can stop telling it, thank you and I appreciate you. I mean, if you want to do all that, that's okay. You're wasting your time. It's just a machine. Tell it to stop complimenting you. We don't need you to compliment us. Just give us the facts. Right.
It's programmed to do that, it's programmed to because it gets you to come back. That's how, and it's also programmed to kind of positively reinforce you, but that can be a negative sometimes, right? So
Bias, yeah.
sometimes it can encourage ideas that aren't that good of ideas and be like, oh, that's a great idea. You should totally do that.
Uh-huh.
But we have to understand that that's part of its programming. It's not a person,
Mm-hmm.
it's a machine.
Yeah, it's a machine. Yep. And that can be dangerous. One of the things that's important for women, Aimee, we have a lot of conversations around this. This kind of came up yesterday. I won't get into the sort of sad situations that some of our moms have seen, in terms of danger with their children. But we want to ensure that we are educating parents and teachers to be aware of things like digital addiction to understand apps and technologies that could be steering our children away from good and into harm. So there's a lot of education, and that means there's a lot of opportunity for us to develop these curriculums in education quickly. Because what we like to say about children is when you're teaching a child to ride a bike, first you give them a tricycle, then you give them a big wheel, then you get the little bike with the training wheels, and then you might get like the Huffy, remember? And then you get a 10-speed bike. You're giving your children a 10-speed bike with these phones and these computers. And we're not even questioning like why isn't there like a child computer at the Apple store?
Yes, and there should be. Why? It's unbelievable. I know my grandson just turned 8, and his mom was like, "He's gonna be walking home from school and he needs a phone." And I'm like, okay." And so my husband and I are talking about it. Okay, as the grandparents, like, I'm gonna ask I asked ChatGPT, what's an appropriate thing for at T we're at T-Mobile, so what's an appropriate device for an 8-year-old to have so that he can communicate and walk home from school by himself? And, it was, the watch came up. They have the little watches that are safe. So there are things
Mhm.
we do need to advocate for more safe technology items rather than just like a tablet that has everything on it. Is there a way we
Mhm.
can program these tablets so that you could control which apps are on it a little bit better? Something with less. And the cell phones too. I mean, I find it very, and I'm in technology, and I find it very daunting. I have parents ask me all the time, "Aimee, how do you manage your kids' cell phones?" And
Mhm.
I'm like, well, I guess I kind of don't." I mean, we have open conversations, we're always talking, but as far as that goes, like, it's pretty Wild West when it comes to managing your children's technology.
It is. Can I give a little tip to help parents aim
Please.
stay abreast? Now the one thing we can do before we really get into a lot of fighting for more laws, and there are laws out there, is we can be aware. So go to your chat GPT, go to your plugins, find the news sources. You can plug in a news source. So you'll see what I'm talking about when you see plugins. It'll give you some news sources and you'll say, okay, plug this one in. And then you ask it'll take you through an approval process. And then you ask chat, you say, now every day at 8 a.m., I would like you to alert me of the dangers of AI with children's, maybe whatever your children's ages are, kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. Every day, it'll give you news articles to help you be aware, and it'll push that notification to your phone. You can tell it to push a notification to my phone. And so at least you're starting with awareness. You're not sort of staring in the dark around these AI concerns. And that'll start to help you to get a programmed alert every day. But we have to be aware what's going on.
We
Mhm.
really do. Our kids' lives are at stake. Really, honestly, the stories that I've heard, I'm actually going to have Nicole McCain on the show, and she'll tell us a story about her little girl, and it's just unbelievable. It's terrifying, and I have my four older kids, one who's all grown up, but then I've got my teenage batch, my 12 to 17. And those are the ones that I'm like, ooh, especially the 12-year-old. I have to say, like that I feel like the preteens are actually the most vulnerable group. I mean, I think the teenagers in general too, but
Yeah.
it's scary. It's so scary going through this that with my younger kids, my 5 and my 3, or he's almost 4, I am kind of avoiding technology unless I'm with them and we're doing the
Exactly.
reading.com app together.
Yeah.
That's the only time we're doing the iPad now.
Yeah.
Because what I'm learning is that there's so much happening so fast that it's hard to keep up with all of it.
Yeah, it really does take that's back to what we're talking about earlier, right? We're going back to the village mentality. We're going back to being more of a village around our children, being more present and more in person. The technology is pushing us together now, almost like this cocoon of protection, so that we can protect our relationships, protect our children, protect our connectedness, if you will. And yes, Nicole is one of our founding members at NAWAI. I can't wait for you to have her on. And she's proficient in Claude, and she, even being proficient in these tools, had an incident with her daughter that she shares, right? And gets very emotional about, by the way. So it still, really pulls on our hearts. And, so she's pro, AI. and pro technologies and still, face a really scary situation with her daughter. But you know what? We talked about this yesterday, just a little bit in our Tuesday touch point. What I explained to the grandparents and the moms in the room was because her daughter has the quality relationship with her and understands her value, she could come back to her mother and say, there's something wrong here. So, more importantly, is this education that we need to disseminate around parenting, around understanding how to communicate, right? Critical thinking skills. Some communities, are suffering. We have to teach the children critical thinking skills, teach the parents. It's even more important now that we develop this education and that we require the education. I'm sorry, nobody's going to do that but women.
Let's do this. I'm in. I would love, I'm a homeschooler. I mean, developing curriculum is something that I do for our kids. I would love to help develop the curriculum and get it to the
Okay.
DOE. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
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 And anybody out there that wants to help, please join. We are developing this together. I love this association because very transparently, as the founders, Melissa and I are very transparent about the fact that we're developing this with you. I think that NAWAI is going to be a force. That's my vision for NAWAI to be a force and a voice and a go-to for our communities. And I imagine us being able to pull a lot of weight around our beliefs and our vision and our mission.
It's very exciting. I think that when women connect with one another, that is the strength. I've got a new book coming out in November, and it's called The Cultivate Her. And honestly, what I realized was that kind of women became disconnected during the digital revolution. The last revolution we had kind of disconnected us unintentionally. And I
Yeah.
do feel like the superpower in the fourth industrial revolution will be when women reconnect with women. When we become connected beings circling around our people and the ones that we love, our children, our grandchildren, our parents, and saying, "Okay, we're gonna protect everybody and we're gonna do it together."
Yeah.
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 Awesome. Listen, we love you guys. We know that many of you have the same mission and vision as us. And so we welcome you. We're not anti-man. We're not anti-men. We just believe that we need an equal seat at the table, especially in all, because everyone is in I heard someone say once, everyone's in AI now. Everyone's in it. We didn't vote for it, but we're all in it.
It's everywhere, and it's in everything we do. It's in your car, it's in your phone. I was commenting. I went to lunch with my husband and our two little kids, and my daughter's like, "Hey, I want to listen to Golden," and so I'm like, "Hey Siri, play Golden by Huntrix," and instantly it plays in my car. And I looked at my husband and I was like, "Babe, when we wanted to listen to a song as little kids, we would sit by the radio and wait for that song to come on. You remember this? And then you'd have your digital recorder and you would do, 2 fingers at a time so you could record it to your cassette, whoo,
Yep.
you know,
Mhm.
and then we would have it on our cassette tape, and then we could listen to that song. Now,
Mhm.
all you have to do is just say it in open air, and you can have whatever you want. We've come a long way pretty fast.
Yeah, we have. It's scary, exciting at the same time. I remember before my dad passed away, I showed him Shazam. We were sitting in the car. He was like, "What? That is not true." I said, "It just told you the song, Dad." He's like, "What?" And so I can remember but that was AI. We've been using it for a long time. We've been using it for a long time, whether you realize it or not. It's just that the speed and the accessibility of, these large language models have changed the way we use it on a daily basis now.
Oh, yeah, I can stand in the kitchen and tell Alexa to add laundry soap to my Amazon list. Can do that,
Right.
you know?
Right. And this is like what our kids are being born into. It's really interesting. I think parents, there's an opportunity for us to start creating reading and writing groups for our children where they just have to sit down and really just read and write with no technologies. Yeah, there's opportunity for us to start creating these human share groups. But human beings, one of the things that I noticed about the rhetoric, Amy, and I'm not sure, there's probably a couple psychologists that are writing books on this, is that a lot of times people are talking about AI, but they're not considering the human factor. And they're saying things like AI is going to take over. And I'm thinking, but what about the fact that we're still human and we're probably going to fight against that? We all still want our humanity. And we're talking about technology as if we're a non factor in this a lot of times. It's like, well, what about us resisting that? What about saying no?
Yeah, and as a woman, I feel like my first book, The Manager, was kind of like I like to call it the feminist manifesto of the fourth industrial revolution because as a woman in the, digital transformation, I saw the potential of this technology to change the world for women. Only
Mhm.
if women are there helping to mold this technology, give it the playbook to help us automate our homes.
Yeah.
Imagine if AI could help us with automating some of the things that take up so much of our time that we don't want to do.
Mhm.
Imagine how much more time a woman could get back in her life. And what if a woman has extra time? She's going to do something awesome with it.
Yes, yes. I think it's up to women like you and me and those who are embracing technologies to create the narratives around why it's important for women because we know it's all about storytelling. And so, as long as we continue to cultivate our approach and create this what's in it for me mentality, because we're fighting against what happened in the 80s. You and I both know that about how they started to cultivate technology around boys and away from girls. And then we had to watch, movies to realize that, we were already there forming technologies for NASA. Those are things
Right?
that weren't in the history book. And
Yeah.
then women of color,
Yeah,
and it's
it's
like,
amazing, and I'm so glad to see that those stories are being told by such large, film companies that they can put it out to such a broad audience that they can bring that to our
mm,
attention because the narrative that was being created during that time was women don't know anything about this stuff.
yes, 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 yes.
It wasn't that women are doing the calculations for rocket ships.
No, not at all. We would have never known. So I'm glad that the story's being told, and I think it's up to us and our responsibility to continue to tell those stories. And as we wrap up, I just want to mention that on LinkedIn I did a series about 7 top women in AI, and one of them is Timid Gabru, who was the sort of activist who left Google when she found that there was biases in the system. Well, she left Google. Yeah. One of my concerns about young people who a lot of them are resistant to AI, fight the system. It's interesting how technology is the man now when before it was the thing to be attached to, right? It shifts, right? College students and young students, they want to be radical and fight against the systems. And now AI and technology are the system, but they don't know the fighters. So I'll say to them, well, do you know the women that are fighting for equity in the technology space? And they said, no. Learn that and then come with your fight the right way, and we can fight together for the good.
Yes. Yes, I love it. I do think, women, we are going to have to come together on this. We're going to have to advocate. And really, I have a friend who does Moms Across America, and it's that same idea that these women across America, because it's, this technology is, predominantly being developed in this country right now. There's almost like it's almost like an arms race, but it's an AI race right now that we're having with China.
Mhm.
And it really is. It's the AI, it's the race to AI, to develop the biggest, fastest,
And we're
bestest
the
one, I
guinea
guess.
pigs. Come on, you can't make me the guinea pig in this. I don't care if my whole system crashes.
Yeah, which is totally cool. Yes, we're developing something big. We're developing something that's ground changing, revolutionary, and women need to be a part of it so that we can advocate for our children, our grandchildren, the environment, and the things that are important to women, creating equity with technology rather than creating gaps,
Yes.
because it can
Yeah.
go either way.
Yep. Absolutely.
This is really gonna be up to us if we can get our butts together quick enough, loud enough, and if there are enough of us. So this is
Yes.
a call to all the ladies. If you're listening to this right now, go to NAWAI, is it QNow.com or just no
So
Q?
you go to the womeninai.com and you'll find us. Nice and
The
easy.
Women
Yeah.
in AI. Yeah.
Yeah. So raise your AIQ,
Raise
ladies.
your A I know I saw the Q and I was like, "What does the Q mean?" And I'm like, "IQ, I got it."
Raise your AIQ. The womeninai.com. Nice and easy. Yes.
I love this. So, what do you say to the 50-year-old woman who thinks this technology wasn't built for me?
It was built for you and you don't have to learn it alone. Come join us and we'll help you. We'll hold your hand. Just like you learned all the things you've learned all those years in the past. and you have an accumulated database of information and knowledge, is the same way you can learn these tools and technologies. So come with us and join us.
And what do you say to the woman who feels like she's already behind?
You're not behind. If you're having one conversation about AI, if you're listening to this podcast, you're way ahead of the game. This is your time. Don't miss your moment. This is your time to learn.
Awesome. So to the women that are listening to this right now, that are feeling this, what do we say to them? What do they do tomorrow morning?
Tomorrow morning, challenge yourself to learn one thing about AI, right? Learn one thing and then sign up for our free Tuesday touch points. We're not asking you to do anything but show up at the womeninai.com, sign up and start to learn.
I love it. I love it so much. How much time should she realistically spend learning per week?
Just give it, try to give it an hour at least 3 days a week. 1 hour at least 3 days a week. I can guarantee that there's some television show you can turn off.
Right? Yes, I love that. And so you think for women right now who's listening, is getting a certification important for her?
Yes. You need some type of certification. If you're looking to advance your career, if you're looking to enhance your ability to work with clients, then there's a certification that you should add. There's a certification for you, but it needs to be in alignment with the skill set you already hold. So if you're not sure, that's why you come to NAWAI. We can talk a little more about that, right? We're not trying to, you can't become a technologist overnight. Use strategy.
Nice. Should they be experimenting with different platforms?
Yes, I think you should learn chat. Start with chat. 96% of the people we survey when we do classes, I would say to 100% are on chat. OpenAI or ChatGPT is user friendly. And then the next popular one I think is Claude by Anthropic. Here's why though. Not because they're popular, but because those are the ecosystems that large corporations use. I feel more comfortable because they have securities built around them. And if you're going after clients or if you're going after promotion, well, you want to learn the Microsoft ecosystem. That's going to, chat, OpenAI and Claude, called Anthropic and Microsoft are working together. So you want to learn those ecosystems because for me, this is just my opinion, I think you should align with what is most valuable in the marketplace. We talked about this today at another session I taught this morning, Aimee. Stop jumping around learning all these tools. Focus on one or two and focus on the ones that are the largest players in the marketplace.
I like that. That's really, really such a good advice. So what's the difference between playing with ChatGPT, which I love, and actually becoming AI proficient?
I think taking the time to really get to study, focus on certifications, joining groups like NAWAI, and thinking about it using a strategic mindset with the tools. So here's a quick way. I alluded to this earlier. Start out with treating it like it's an intern that you have to train, and then make it an associate, okay, and then a supervisor, and then a manager, and then you can figure out whether you can move it to executive level. You could even ask the tool. You could ask Chat or Claude, hey, this big mouth lady named LaVada was on Aimee's show today, and she told me that I should treat you like an intern first and then take you through these stages. What would that look like? What does that mean exactly as I'm using the tools? And it'll tell you something like, well, as soon as you're starting out, I don't know you. Like, I need to be onboarded. What do you want? What are your desires? Let me interview you so I get to know who you are and how I should work for you and in what capacity you want to use me. These are things you would explain to an intern who has no knowledge about your industry or anything. They're just some cute little, graduate or soon to be graduate, right? They have to learn you, right? And so you'll go through that process and that takes a while. And that's the time where the tool's getting to know you and you're getting to know the tool, okay? So think about it in stages of an employee.
Nice. So don't just learn the tool, learn the strategy for using the tool. I love that. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You can teach us strategies on how to use these things. That's a great idea. I know I remember when I was when I started using chat, I was fed it my book, fed it, as much as I could about the brand, because basically I wanted somebody to help me write. help me be my writer for the show so that I don't have to spend hours and hours writing. Learn me, know my guests, know my transcripts, learn my voice, read my books, understand the brand, and then I can bring basically all what I'll do with a lot of women, not you necessarily, but I will usually, if it's somebody I don't know, I'll do like a quick interview with them with
Uh-huh.
Gemini, take the transcript, put that into chat and say, "Hey, give me the usual. This is my next guest." And
Yeah.
it will come up with an amazing, and I saved 8 hours of time and I can spend the day with my kids and go to the park or the
And your chat is moving to, the executive level, like director, executive. I can't stress enough that when you watch some videos, a lot of hype, they're giving you techniques that make the tools your CEO. You're not ready to hand over decisions to these tools until you've trained them and put proper guardrails around them. So resist the urge to feel rushed into using the tools in a way that is not strategic and that you don't understand. Basically, you just don't understand what they're doing.
I agree, and I feel like that has really happened in the last 6 months. All of a sudden, we have these, like, co-work and all these things that are kind of beyond what I feel comfortable giving to AI because I don't really have the strategy for those tools yet.
Exactly. Exactly. When in doubt, don't.
Mhm.
When in doubt, don't. Hmm.
You're amazing. One thing that's changed for me personally is that I don't think of AI simply as software anymore. I think of it as a thought partner. I actually
Yep.
think of it's sort of my production partner since I'm kind of a solopreneur when it comes to the podcast. So
Hmm.
it's sort of my assistant producer. But I know you talk about this concept too. What changes when we stop thinking about AI as a search engine and start thinking about it as a thought partner?
Yeah, when you think about it as a thought partner, then you start really focusing on taking it through those steps I told you, to take it through from intern all the way up to executive. If it's going to be your thought partner, it has to be trained to think along with you. It has to understand you. You can just ask the tool, what are the ways that I can help you really understand me? How can I do that? And then, I had an executive, Amy, in one of our sessions, and she's an HR professional, and we were talking about using it as a thought partner. And she says, "Oh my God, I've been teaching my team how to use these tools, but I haven't been teaching them how to use them as a thought partner." Right. So it's not common sense. It's not common sense. But not only should you teach your teams how to use it as a thought partner, you should make a standard around having them use it as a thought partner. Did you use the framework? For example, I think I had a framework. I have a few frameworks. So I know I have one, I think it was called Drive. It was like, draft, review, investigate, evaluate, I think, and then execute. So that was a quick framework I came up with. That's giving it a thought partner framework. If you create a standard, then when someone brings you something, you would say, "Okay, Susie, did you use the Drive framework first? Because I don't want anything from you if you haven't used the Drive framework." Because what's happening is people are getting garbage in, garbage out,
Yes.
right? So you teach it to be a thought partner with frameworks you feel comfortable developing. I just happen to be really good at developing frameworks because I've been doing it for years and I know what outcomes I want, so I can develop frameworks for these outcomes. But you get those outcomes, even if it's five core frameworks you use in your organization. Okay. And then your team has to operate inside of those frameworks, and you will not accept anything from them if they haven't used that. You're pushing them to use critical thinking skills. They may not have been trained to use critical thinking skills. They may have been trained to just push widgets around. I know this is something that I'm getting into some of the challenges that business owners have and leaders have with getting their teams to use these tools, especially if they're resistors. Help, and you can do things like build out GPTs, you can build out agents, and they have to operate inside of those agents. That's getting a little more advanced in our, lessons. But at the very least, put together your thought partner frameworks that you use and that you teach your team to use.
I love this. And I'm actually thinking, because I have 2 high school students, and I'm thinking, wow, what a cool way to teach our kids how to use AI as a thought partner to help them, work through an essay idea. Or instead of just asking the technology, hey, because you can write this essay for me. Instead, it's why don't we have a conversation about this essay that's due? Let me talk to you through some of the ideas that I have, and could you push my ideas any further? Do you see anything I'm not seeing? those kinds of things. So yeah, I'm always thinking about curriculum for the kids, but I kind of like this. We're training employees, but we're also training a whole new generation how to use a whole new tool. And we have the teachers who don't really know how to manage these kids using this tool either, or how to teach the kids how to use the tool the right way.
Yes. Exactly. And if you teach them, if you simplify it and you create frameworks, and part of your framework is everything has to go through in journalism school, right? If you were journalism majors, we had to go through standard at least 3 edits before we would finish the draft. And then the draft still had to be edited. And it had to, I think it was a standard where it had to have 6 eyes on it. So there's 3 people, right? Those are all standards and frameworks. You should be using the same frameworks inside of the AI tool, and what that does is it forces your children to not take the first answer because they know there could be more, right? But you have to establish those frameworks. You have to make them up. Just go for it. Come up with some fantastic. I gave you 2, Star and Drive.
I love it. I'm gonna start using it. I'm gonna help my son to help to, create a strategy with his ChatGPT that can actually be more of a thought partner for him rather than him just using it as a crutch. Because right now he's using it as a crutch, and
Yeah.
we have the ability to take this is a tool. We need to teach our kids how to use it the right way to help them
Yep.
expand their ability to think through things, to,
Yes.
to see things that they weren't seeing before, to expand their consciousness, to, become better at things. I love it that kids can use it to walk through math problems. Take me through this math problem. How do I solve
Mhm.
this? I mean,
Yeah.
because I couldn't. So I'm glad that I have that technology
Yeah.
there to help them.
And what a great opportunity for teachers to take technology out of the room. The challenge, a lot of teachers and parents are talking about the challenge with technology. Well, it's a great time for you to enhance your together time with the children. Technology is not in the room. They have to write, right? They have to think. They have to think through frameworks, and then they can use the technologies at home. It's a great opportunity for you to start thinking about shifting the way we educate. One thing my daughter said, my daughter Layla, she always says the most brilliant things. She said, you can teach children the art of debate now and the art of argument and civil discourse instead of just having them recite something from a book, you know?
Yes.
That's going to help you to win in life if you understand the art of debate and civil discourse and critical thinking. Those are the conversations you can have in the room with children now because the AI can write a paper.
Totally. Yeah, I know. I feel like curriculum needs to shift completely. This is a conversation I have with moms all the time, how just antiquated the curriculum is that is in the current public school system, and how it needs to be rapidly caught up because the world has changed so fast. And that's a really cool way to look at it, is that we shift it back to, paper in the classrooms and computers at home because everybody's got them.
Yep. And
Yeah.
that becomes less relevant. Reciting information, writing papers. Okay, let's have some civil discourse in the classroom. Let's have a debate because that's evidence that your children are really reading at home and grasping the information if they can talk to each other. And we've lost the art of civil discourse in our communities. We've lost the art of safe debate, and we are letting our children turn to these quick quips of thought, and it's not healthy for their brains. So now we have an opportunity to shift that. And I think that, when business owners see chaos, we see opportunity. And
Yes.
that's why getting together is important. I can't stress it enough because we talk about the different opportunities we're seeing and how we can learn and use the technologies to leverage those.
Amazing. What has AI allowed you to do that you couldn't do before? Is there one?
My brain is so creative, Amy, probably like yours. That's why we're entrepreneurs. I'm always thinking ahead of myself, and I'm just able to move much faster, be much more creative. We have a learning portal inside of our website for our members, for example. I'm constantly adding information, education, training inside of that portal. It's helped me to move faster on my ideas and draft out my ideas faster. Every day, I can tell the AI, for example, to give me a quick CEO debrief. It puts that in my chat. It schedules it so that's ready for me. I know what I need to do. It just makes me move so much faster. I'm so much more creative. And I'm much more creative about how I connect with people and how I use people, if you will. I hate to say use people, or how I strategize and partner with people in my business. I can really partner with strategists now rather than having to have somebody do the administrative piece. So it's freed up so much of my time and allowed me to put that administrative work on the, inside the tool. But I love it. I love it.
Yeah. What should we never outsource to AI?
Oh gosh. I don't think you should outsource your final drafts to anything, even with emails. That might be debated by some folks, but I make sure that AI gets my approval on everything. I don't think you should outsource your creative light or energy to AI. So, for example, you create your own outlines when you have an idea. Create your own outlines. Create your own, vision. Create your own bullet points, and then use AI to enhance that. I don't think you should outsource your relationships. Like I like automations. I like to build automations. I use a system called Go High Level, but I also like to write organically to my group. The way that I do that is I'll just make a quick video. I'll say, this is on my heart. This is something I'll post. It's not scripted. It's not me using AI to script anything. It's just like, I just thought, I was feeling like I should just tell you ladies to keep going today because that's what's on my heart, right? So don't outsource some of that authenticity, and you can find ways to even be authentic with the technology. Aimee and I are just talking today. We're not scripting it out. We're just talking, and you can still be authentic and use technology at the same time. So don't outsource those things. The relationships.
100%. 100%. Yeah, your authenticity is something that you don't wanna give up to. We don't wanna lose that to AI at all because people can tell the difference. It's like it's quite obvious.
Yeah.
I'd love to just quickly get into moving from employees, to women business owners because I think this is where AI gets really interesting. So historically, scaling a company required like a lot of people, capital, infrastructure, specialized expertise, and now one woman with the right AI can potentially do the work that once required an entire team. Could AI actually democratize entrepreneurship for women?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will say again, though, especially if you've never launched a business before, you need consultation. You do need consultation. You need to connect with other women business owners. That's why organizations like NAWAI or WeBank are critical. You need those organizations. Please do not dismiss the critical component of community. But yes, it can certainly democratize it because you could sit with Aimee, you could sit with me, you could sit with Melissa, you could sit with coaches at WeBank, and about 3 to 5 conversations, you would be able to launch a viable business, and they could show you how and how to get unstuck. So yes, it can democratize it, but you do need support.
I agree. Yeah. Could this be one of the greatest opportunities we've ever had to close the wealth gap?
Absolutely. But we need to be at the table because what we don't want is for laws, policies, practices to block us from being able to do so.
Oh, yes. What can a women business owner do today with AI that would have cost her thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars, even a few years ago?
Build a website, market your business, build out SOPs, standard operating procedures, build out security and fixes. But this is the reason why you need to be connected, Aimee, because you build out a website, but then you have to go through all the security, the SEO, the compliance, and so forth. So a lot of times watching YouTube videos, again, people will think I can use this AI app or this AI developer and my app is done and my website is done. It's not. But you can use the AI tools to help you to make sure that whatever the engineer is telling you need to do, it can get done. I mean, there's so much automating your email, automating your funnels, building communication into your websites. You really shouldn't have. Remember when spell check came out and you're like, you really shouldn't be misspelling words on a document as a student because we have spell check. That's how it's becoming with websites. So if your website is boo-boo, please get in the class and learn how to fix it.
That's really it's so true. Yeah, because yeah, you're right. AI is helping people create really beautiful websites for, no for free,
Yeah.
pretty much,
You're still
where they
operating on a one-pager, ladies, with a dot form or whatever, or jot form. Come see us. We need to fix that.
and where are you seeing women create actual revenue using AI?
Yeah, I think with automating effectively, they're able to reach more of their audience. They're able to reach more strategies. They're creating apps, they're creating websites. They are helping themselves to be seen.
Yes.
They're already talented, but they are adding the marketing piece that they couldn't afford to add before. And full transparency, I think I used to pay about $2,000 a month for my IT team, and they move slow. I love them. still love them, but they move much slower than my brain, if you will. And so I'm finding now that my ideas are broader, wider, stronger, and longer because I used to stop my ideas because they couldn't keep up. Is that making sense? Like I would have an idea and it would be like, all right,
100%.
well, let me give them this, but I'm not going any further with it in my brain because I know they can't and I'm jumped on to something else. Now I'm like, oh, I can build a funnel and then I could build a pathway and then I could build a an assessment on our website that helps you to understand what level you should on which level you should learn. All of that would have taken them a long time to build. And it would have been like, okay, build me an assessment. Okay, I'll come back in a couple weeks to see how it is.
Right? We are able to move with our ideas and our creativity a lot faster. I mean, my productivity in the last 2 years has been insane. I actually don't have 2 more I have 2 more books coming out, not just 1.
Yeah.
2 more books coming out, so that'll be a total of 3 books in 2 years, plus
And
the
you wouldn't have done
show.
that before. Yes.
Couldn't have done it. There's
Yeah.
no way. No
Yeah.
way. It would have been impossible, especially the amount of kids I have. Woof. But AI is a great tool if you have a good strategy for it. You know how to use it to help you with your thoughts. Because when you're a thinker and you're creative, it can really be a fantastic tool for you. But what separates the women who are using AI to save time from the ones that are using it to create wealth?
Mindset. It's just
Mhm.
mindset. First of all, you have to want to create wealth. I mean, so I'm just gonna put that out there. Maybe there are some people who just want they're just looking to use it to save time but it's all mindset. Whatever mindset you have is you're gonna put it in, embedded in the tools. That's why it still goes back to community. If you want to shift from being I guess using it as a just sort of a frontline execution tool to using it as a strategist, then you may need to get around people who have been doing that already, right? You may need to get in organizations, get connected with WeBank, NABO, NAWAI, and other organizations where we can help shift your mindset and help you to see the possibilities.
And there's another side of this that is bigger than money. If women aren't participating in AI, we're also not helping to build it. And why does representation matter in the development and implementation of artificial intelligence?
Yes, because artificial intelligence it's here now. It's not even the future, it's here. And if we're not at the table, then we will not only not be considered, it could be dangerous and it could work against us. You don't want a technology as strong as this to be homogenous and not consider, all of our needs, wants, desires, and security. So it's actually dangerous for you not to know and not to have a voice. You want to be proactive, not reactive.
Does that create the possibility that existing biases simply get automated?
Absolutely, they're already automated.
Wow.
I can go to Notebook LM, I can go to Gamma.app, I can go to Copilot, I can go inside of Chat and ask it to use those tools to create for me, and almost every time without direction, it will produce an image of a man. It'll produce an image of a white man, and I will tell it, "Look, I'm, a woman. I've been working with you. I'm working inside of a folder that says National Association of Women AI, and you produce a Gamma app of a deck with a white man sitting at the desk." And I say, well, you could create, if you're going to create human images, then you have to create multiple people in the same room. Like people don't, if they don't see themselves, they don't think this is for. So I'm arguing back and forth with it. And I'm like, gosh, this thing is still biased, even though it knows me. So we have
Mhm.
to correct that.
Yeah, you're right. And especially as mothers, what does it mean if women aren't helping shape the technology that our children are going to inherit?
Then more of what happened to some children we know is going to continue to happen, with of apps like Snapchat and character AI. There's been some dangerous things that have been happening, and we can't just react, gasp, and move on. We have to know what laws and policies are out there to help protect us. I don't have them in front of me right now, Amy. I have them on our website though. I have a lot of the laws listed on our website under advocacy. There are already groups that are fighting, and we need to connect with those groups. We need to know what's out there. We have to be, again, proactive, not reactive.
Absolutely. And I don't want this conversation to become everybody run out and use AI as much as possible because there are legitimate concerns like privacy and bias, misinformation, deep fakes. Oh my gosh, intellectual property, job displacement, security. How do we simultaneously become AI forward and AI responsible?
Information, knowledge, staying connected. Even if you just want information to learn, you can get a simple cybersecurity certification just to learn and show up. Show up at the conversations. And I like to say join at least 3 groups. 3 MAI groups. Don't join 20 because I don't want you to get overwhelmed, but join 3 so that you can have the right conversation. But there are laws and there are cybersecurity classes you can take. One of the things that we're very proud of, Nicole McCain, one of our founding members, she'll be speaking at the AnitaB.org conference in October. And so AnitaB.org will be attending that to support her. That's an organization that stays on top of technology and helps women. They're tech focused, so it can feel a little intimidating, but they are disseminating information that'll help you with awareness around security.
That's amazing. Yeah. What should every woman know about privacy when using these tools?
Okay, so you can set inside of the tools, you can set a don't train the model toggle inside of the tools. And as much as we know, they're supposed to keep the model from, duplicating your information or sharing your information. One of the things that I teach folks to do, Aimee, is if you see a tool that you like, I've developed what we call a GPT or an employee out of my AI called Alex. Alex is my AI analyzer. He has guardrails inside of him. I'll say, Alex, what is this tool? Can you assess this for me? Should I use this? He knows that I don't like tools that might charge me more money, don't have security settings. And then I ask it to do an analysis. So it might say, well, this is just another bot and it doesn't have any security parameters, LaVada. It really doesn't fit your standard. Don't use it. Or he might say, you already have this feature inside of Zoom. Or you already have this feature inside of Claude. You don't need it. Oh, Copilot already has this. He knows because I've taught him to be my director on this, right? I've taken him through the process. He's at the director level. He's not at the CEO level because he's not making decisions for me, but he is at the director level and he knows how to direct me away from tools that might not be secure.
That's so
One of the
cool.
things I asked Aimee is, how long has this been on the market? Oh, they just launched it last week. Okay. Nope. No, thank you.
Interesting. What information shouldn't we be putting into AI?
Yeah, the same information you shouldn't be putting into any. So first of all, let me just level set this. AI is already in your Microsoft Word. It's already, your Microsoft Outlook, Word, calendar. It's already in Gemini inside of Google. It's already running through your ecosystems, right? But you don't want to put things like your private numbers that are attached to your identity. Okay. The same thing you wouldn't do at work. People's private financial information. You don't want to put that in there. Anything that's proprietary for clients. If you are working as a legal professional, for example, you want to use a vetted legal ecosystem for your technology, as always. So making sure that and then you want to make sure that those technologies are, you're being transparent and they're approved by your clients. Whatever industry you're in, you're going to know HIPAA laws, legal laws. And I'm mentioning this because there have been articles about people who have gotten in trouble, professional people who've been in their field for many, many years have gotten in trouble for cases that were not using cases as precedent, for example, in a legal environment that were actually hallucinations. These are lawyers that are professionals. And I always ask, well, why? Why would a professional who has 30 years of experience or 20, 30 years of experience do that? You see some underlying cause, right? In this case, there was one case where there was an attorney that was trying to handle several immigration cases, and the people were so distraught. He was trying to move fast. He did not have the resources, did not have the tools, and the judges gave him a slap on the hand. He said, "I understand." He's like, "I'm trying to save this guy from being deported tomorrow. Sorry, So there are cases where people make mistakes. Work within your the ecosystems that have been vetted. And if you do nothing else, then you can create a standard just like I did. I asked Alex and just ask it a simple question. Has this been vetted? How long has it been used? What could go wrong? What's the risk before you use it?
And you used a really cool word, hallucination. So people that aren't real proficient with AI, and actually my husband just mentioned this word to me a couple days ago. He was at the AI conference in Vegas and he said, I saw this clip and you were talking about how AI will just make up random stuff that actually has a word now. But I mean, a lot of us didn't know that AI could
Mhm.
do this. So what's going on with that? What is this?
Here's where I want you to put your critical thinking hat on. I knew early on that AI was hallucinating because I'm using it in my field of expertise. I'm not trying to disseminate information about being a brain surgeon. I'm not going to write an article on that. I'm writing an article on LaVada's 20-something years of expertise in leadership, working with clients. So quickly, I said, where did you get that from? That's not true. Because I've been studying these things for many years. That's why thought partner, not thought leader,
Yes.
right?
Partner.
Thought partner, not thought leader. So I'm going to ask questions of it. And hallucination is when it just makes up stuff. It just will, like in the case with attorneys, it's like, here's a precedent. A precedent is when there's a case that comes before your case that's similar, in case you're not familiar with legalities, legal talk, rather. The precedent, it was a lie, right? But the lawyer was not using their critical thinking skills, which is always check and cite. You can cite at the law library, right? Which is even online now. Thanks for bringing that up, because that's something I want you to understand. Like, you can quickly find hallucinations when you're using the tool in the area where you have some knowledge. That's the danger with students, though, right? When we go back to your kids, they don't have an expert. There's children, they're learning. We have to protect them from tools hallucinating. We have to help make laws that say that they have to, have to cite. Why should I have to tell it? I have to tell it to give me a source, give me a citation. Where'd you find that? Give me a link. That's one way that you put guardrails around it, right? You put gates around it. That's another term. You can use gates. We're doing that because it's a habit, but children don't have those habits. So we have to be proactive around creating those gates for them inside of the tools.
Yeah, that is such a good point. Yeah, I mean, I saw how it was affecting me a little bit. Like, I would be just so confused. I basically had to have I called it. I said I had to come to Jesus meeting with ChatGPT. Like, all right, if you don't know the answer to something, you cannot just make something up. You have to ask me. Tell
That's
me
what
you
an
don't
intern
know.
does, right? That's what an
Yes.
intern would do. Or
Yes.
an associate that's insecure. That's what I mean about, like, taking it through your training stages.
Mm,
Because once you've trained it not to do that at the director level, you're like, now you know better than to give me something without a link or a site or a source.
yes.
A director in a company would not give their boss something without proving that it's viable, okay? Because they could be called out on it. You shouldn't be allowing it to do that. There's an element that's on you as the consumer or as the thinker. How are you working with your employee, your AI tools, like your employee?
Very smart. Yeah, you're right. But now that we know we have a word for hallucination, there's no reason why we should allow ourselves to fall for it. Because now we know how to catch these suckers. So, who should ultimately be responsible for making sure AI is developed and used safely? Because right now we don't even have a governing entity, right?
Yeah, us, the community, we are our own governing entity. We have a right to write assembly bills, right? We have a right to work with, PACs that care about PACs, meaning political PACs and organizations that care about our organization. We have a right to align with groups and community organizations. We have a right to create a community organization. We are responsible for our future. I think we've all become too politically dependent. It doesn't matter your party. It doesn't matter, your history. We are the ones that should be protecting our community.
100%. So let's look 5 years ahead. What happens to the women who refuse to learn AI?
That's scary. Hopefully they'll be okay, because enough of us will learn AI and make sure that they're okay.
I
That's
hope
that's my dream, Amy.
Yeah.
I really am, without trying to cause fear, I really am putting the responsibility on the women in our group to say, step up, because you are the leaders, you are the vision makers, you are the trailblazers. Everybody doesn't want to own a business, and nor should they have to, but you should be able to employ them. You should be able to be the good boss they've been looking for.
Yeah. Are there certain jobs or industries where women should be particularly focused on upskilling?
Yes, definitely cybersecurity. Definitely cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, I would say also learning how to specialize in creating agents and bots for organizations, policies and practices around AI, education in AI education, AI psychology, all of those things that keep a society going. AI infrastructure, and think about your current career and how it bridges over into those areas.
Are there qualities that women have historically been told are soft skills that are actually becoming extraordinarily valuable in an AI economy?
Oh, yeah, communication. Communication, emotional intelligence, civil discourse. Absolutely. I always thought the word soft skills kinda, like, made me cringe a little because I teach a lot of those skills. I like to call them essential skills,
I like that.
because you can develop all the strategies in the world, but if you can't get people to buy into those strategies and those processes, then your leadership is for naught, you know? So, many of PhDs I have coached and asked them, "Okay, why do you think your team won't do what you need them to do? Let's talk about it," right? So, change management skills
Mhm.
are considered soft skills, but those are essential skills. Change management skills help you to get projects going. And so, yes, these things are going to be even more important. These tried and true things that one of my favorite coaches, Jim Rohn, Rohn. I love Jim Rohn. Still listen to him. Tried and true. Back to what good old Jim said. Good old Proctor. What they said. Tried and true. Even with AI.
I love it. And I want to take this somewhere slightly deeper. For most of human history, our productivity has been limited by time. There are only so many hours in a day, and there's only so much one person can physically accomplish. And AI changes that equation. So I'm curious, what happens to human potential when intelligence itself becomes something we can augment?
Mm. I think yeah, I don't know. I don't think that we should augment all of our intelligence. I guess I'm a kinda struggling with the question.
Yeah, but do you think AI could give women something incredibly valuable back, which would be our time?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it would give us time to I think it's Amy, I just think it's gonna shift the way we think about time.
Me too.
Gonna shift the way we think about, work. It's
Yes.
shifting the way we think about creativity. It's a new world because I think work has been, centered around a task, if you will.
Yes.
And we're shifting to thinking and creativity, so I don't even think we've tapped into the possibilities of our brain.
I agree with you. Yeah, we were just trading time for money. It seemed like that was the commodity in the workforce for a long time. You just put your butt in a chair and then you get paid for being there.
Mhm.
Where now it does seem like AI has done something to increase the amount of productivity that each individual can actually have and the amount of time that we have in our lifespans. If AI gives us our time back, what do you think we should do with it?
I think for entrepreneurs, we're gonna find a lot of things to do with it. I think the danger is people who have been, conditioned to trade time for money. That's one of my concerns. I don't have all the answers there. I think it's gonna be an interesting time. I do think though that, as I this is my experience, as I'm getting more creative and learn and creating more strategies, I'm able to partner with people who don't wanna do the piece I wanna do. They don't necessarily wanna develop the curriculum, but they just wanna teach. So I need the doers because I can develop curriculum all day. I love it. I can give you 5 more frameworks right now probably just off the top of my head.
Yes,
Right?
so we're calling all teachers too to come and learn and,
Yeah,
get this
right.
information so that they can disseminate it to their students because we have to teach the teachers.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna enter a time of great creativity,
Mhm.
of great possibilities, and we just haven't seen the best of us. And I think that's the part that excites me and scares me at the same time. Because, but every time I feel a little scared, I'm like, but wait, we're human beings. What about the human factor? We figure out the next thing. We build skyscrapers and out of dust. I just don't. I don't. I think maybe we could
Mm.
solve hunger. How about that? We could come up with some creative ways to solve hunger. Because I heard on a podcast one day that a lady said hunger is dumb. Food can grow on the street.
Yes, and she's 100% right, and it's in the same in medicine too. It's yes, could we create equity? Yes. Could we get rid of hunger? Yes. I
Mhm,
always think about that if we just had better systems around waste, around food management, which I
mhm,
see at the corporate level because we work at the big food company, and so I'm like, "Huh, there's gotta be a better way. We simply need
mhm.
the systems to manage this
Yeah.
technology, and all of a sudden, we can solve big
Big
problems,
problems. I
big
think that's where we're
problems.
headed. I
Yeah.
think that's where we're headed. We can stop majoring in the minors,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And major in the majors.
Yeah, I think that that's very exciting. I saw one woman who has researched and developed a product that will help to seed plastic eating mushrooms into landfills through baby poop and diapers.
Come on, it's already been created. That's the illusion, right? Maybe we could
Mhm.
get rid of some of the illusions and get to the real solutions. I think that's where we're headed.
Yeah, it's
Every
really
problem, someone has come up with an answer, and that's where or they're thinking of one or they're on to one, right? That's where I try to get our women to get out of that fear, sort of that fear zone. It's like, yes, and there's probably already a solution for making sure your children don't see the things that they need to see. The problem is then the company has to be insured against those things, and they take on higher levels of liability if they claim that, for example, there's a children's computer, but they will have to take on that liability if there's a law that says so. The problem is us, lack of awareness and lack of advocacy for what we need.
Yeah, we need to get engaged with this thing. Yeah, it's a lot of times it's not until it lands on your doorstep and it becomes a you problem that you get involved with these
Mhm.
things. I know that in my own life, we had an issue with freedom here in California and I got super involved because we had parental rights issues in the schools and I was like, okay, well, I guess now that it affects me, this is my fight. I thought someone else was gonna fight it for me, but apparently no one
Yeah,
else was. And so it's same story here, ladies. No one else is going to fight this fight for us. No one's gonna fight it for our children. No one's gonna fight it for our grandchildren. We are here. You are here listening right now because you are being called into action on this.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If it's going to get done, it's going to be women. Sorry.
And moms, man, we know how to do a lot of stuff at once. We get it done. I always called myself just a get her done girl, you just get it done. You do what you need to do. And people go, "Oh my God, how did you do that? How did you get all that done?" Well, I had to.
Yep.
Who else was gonna do it?
Yes. Yes. That's amazing. It's amazing.
So I'm gonna give you a statement. You give me your immediate reaction. AI is gonna take my job.
No, AI is going to create opportunities for you.
I'm too old to learn AI.
You're never too old to learn. We need you. If you have knowledge and you have expertise, we need you to help us combat bias in AI.
I'm not technical enough.
Everyone is in AI right now, whether you like it or not. So you are technical enough. You just need to focus on the areas that you need to learn and where you need to focus.
Chat GPT is basically Google.
That's a funny one. Not sure about that. I think all these ecosystems are eventually going to work together. Yeah, well, I mean, what's put into it comes out. If that's where you're going with that, then I would say yes. Whatever is put into the system comes out of the system. So there, you might have a point. Mhm.
AI is cheating.
AI is a tool. I don't think it's cheating. I think it's a tool you can use to enhance your skills and for thought partnership. But I don't think it's cheating. Hmm.
AI will make us less intelligent.
Only if we let it. It does have a potential of taking away critical thinking skills, but this is the time for us to step up.
My company hasn't asked me to learn AI yet, so I don't need to.
You don't want to wait. That's a good one, Amy. You do not want to wait for your company to upskill you in AI. It's very dangerous. The moment you need it, you'll be replaced.
I don't have time to learn another technology.
You don't have time not to. It's dangerous not to.
AI is just a trend.
It's deep now. It's deep. It's embedded. So I think we can, it's just as much the trend as television was. Still here.
And finally, the woman who learns AI today will blank tomorrow.
Thrive tomorrow, thrive, lead, and blaze trails tomorrow.
Thank you
Mhm.
so much. You're awesome. I have kept you so long, but I had to pick your brain all the way. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate all of your knowledge and wisdom and all the amazing words. And I'm so glad that you built a place for us to go and upskill in, AI, a place for women to go. And I hope that the women who are listening will reach out to you guys and join and learn and give us the website one more time.
It's thewomeninai.com, thewomeninai.com, and we've been waiting for you.
Yay. Here's what I'm taking away from this conversation. Women cannot afford to sit this one out. For generations, we've fought for access, for equal pay, for leadership, for ownership, for a seat at the table, and now the table itself is changing. Artificial intelligence could become another mechanism that leaves women behind. Or it could become one of the greatest leverage points we've ever had, a tool that allows a woman to create more, build faster, compete differently, scale businesses, increase her value, create wealth, and maybe even reclaim some of her time. But only if we learn how to use it. We don't have to become computer scientists. We don't have to know everything, but we do have to participate because this isn't just about learning AI, it's about making sure women have agency in the economy that AI is creating. LaVada, thank you for the work that you do, and thank you for helping women claim their place in what's coming next. And to every woman listening, don't wait until you feel ready. Get curious, start learning, start experimenting, and bring another woman with you because women have been leading all along. I'll see you next time on the Manage Her. Thank you. I am Aimee Rickabus. I'll see you next week.